Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Tavern. I am your host and the GM of Tabletop Misfits. My name is James. Tonight, we have an interesting guest tonight. Our guest is a brand new virtual tabletop that I have been seeing all sorts of people getting excited for. Our last guest, Hunter, has been using it on Monday nights. And we've been talking with them. The company that we work with and write for has been talking with them. And I just thought this was a great time for us to bring Asher on board with us to have a talk about Alchemy RPG. So Asher, just a little bit about yourself. You want to give yourself a little bit of
a little plug. I'm terrible at this. Yeah. Hi. So I'm Asher. I'm operations for Alchemy RPG. We're a reimagining of playing TTRPGs online. So we try to do things a little bit differently, very theater of the mind, cinematic focus. We try to make a really cool UI and experience so that you can tell a really awesome story.
You'll notice that this is a lot different than what you're used to from what I've been able to play around with. And it's definitely story driven, which to me makes it a lot different than what. Now, I will say though, something that actually just kind of dawned on me is a lot of the ways that this thing's built is very similar to how I structure my actual campaigns when I'm playing. So everything's broken down into the differences like articles, characters, items, spells, scenes, and modules. Now, I have not been able to dive through everything yet, of course. But what is, so let's see, like if I'm looking at an article, is that just going to give me a bit of a description of what the episode or the game's about? Or
yeah, totally. So it sounds like you're looking at our universe. So we have this idea of this like way to homebrew a world or create your own, or when you purchase a content module from us, they come out as universes. And so in a universe, you've got those articles like you were mentioning, and an article really can be anything. It's the way that we've broken down the sort of physical books that we have in the platform, like The Lost Druid, The Darkest Dream, Humblewood. They all all of the articles follow the trajectory of the book, right? So we have an article for each race that's in Humblewood because they have a ton of really awesome races. We have articles for the chapters, which are kind of the scene, is the sort of analogous to the scene breakdown when you go in and you play a game with it. But they're all the text, and they can all be linked to one another, so you can kind of navigate through the entire contents of the content module more seamlessly. And then the rest of the stuff that's in there that's in the universe. You've got characters, you've got spells, you've got items, all of those things you build into the universes. And then when you are GMing a game and you add that content universe, all of that stuff is available to you as the GM or your players, right? So so if you brew up a ton of custom spells, or you get, a supplement that has a bunch of custom spells, when your players go into their character sheets, they have the option to add those spells to their character sheets. So it's kind of like a D&D Beyond for everyone else. Yeah,
which it's good to hear, because we're talking, and this is something that we've been working on for months now, of a 24/7 Discord RPG ran in the world of GUI Cube, in the world of Xyothe. So we've been working on it, but the problem is how do you build enough characters that connect all together without rebuilding D&D Beyond? Well, we might have found our way.
If you can find a way to make that work, that sounds like a very big endeavor that you're undertaking. Sounds cool.
So we know companies that have done it, and we know how they do it, and we've gotten ideas of how to make it work. Now the question is going to be is, do we have enough content? Do we have enough excitement? Do we have enough interest with the people that are in our streams and in our community to make something like that actually work?
For sure.
And because of it being such a big endeavor, there will have to be, of course, a small paywall somehow to fund that kind of a project, because if nothing else, it's most likely going to have to take additional time that's not normally allotted to the stream or to something else.
Yeah.
So,
How do you see that all like working out? So 24/7 adventure.
So the adventure pretty much would be ran normally just through everyday talk, right? I mean, you're just letting people RP back and forth. And then you would have people within the Discord channel that would be considered your game masters. And all you'd have to do is be willing to learn and be willing to hide any information that you would have as a game master from everybody else in the channel. And then depending on what channel they're playing in, you as the game master just kind of pop in to that chat room and say, hey, this is going on. And if somebody takes a bite, then you can say, hey, please come down to virtual channel 1, and then we'll play out the entire encounter. And then the idea would be is that the game masters would have, well, that's interesting. Hold on one second. Yeah, my video
just fell back into the wall. You just homered into the wall.
I did. I homered into the wall. No, my OBS virtual camera and AR camera like to just randomly flicker, and then they just flicker right back to me, just being like, oh, I'm gone. So Grumpy Guru, just a discussion on that. So it's not fully play by text. Play by text will be your everyday information, playing the area that you'd be living in or whatnot, or your character would live in. But once you would actually go into a group where you were out in the woods or you were heading into a cave of some sort, you have a game master legitimately, if he's on, plugging in those notes. And as he's plugging in the notes, geez, oh, here we go. This is what happens. I'm telling you guys, I can't do an entire show without having some sort of technical difficulty. I'm going to close this. Hopefully they don't touch me. It doesn't touch me. If so, I might have to close out a video real quick and put it back up. It might be what's freaking out. But the idea would be then is once you were in those scenarios, you would then be pretty much presented a GM for that encounter that you would be running into.
Yeah.
And GMs would have a list of encounters based on location of what they could run if they want to run something. And then at that point, we're just giving the GM the opportunity to be a GM. And then it would have, hey, this is the monsters you can run in. These are the different types of monsters that could be here. This is the different types of scenarios that might be part of this story. And these are the rewards that you get, and then as a game master, you could then tell people, hey, here's the reward you get. Please update it on your character sheet. Yet again, it goes back to having somewhat of an honor system though. So I'm not going to update your character sheet as a game master because I don't have time to update 16 character sheets. Let's say let's be honest, that's being very small for a massive RPG like this. 16 is small. I've been in one now for almost 3 to 4 months, kind of using it as a way to learn, as well as I have a really big respect for the company that runs it. And we've talked to them and we're kind of working that collaboration to just learn from them. We're not trying to take what they're doing. We're trying to expand on it and make it effective, make it our own. And they're completely enhanced with, here I go again. All right. Telling you, I am a magical ninja tonight because I'm just gone. Go big or go home. Yeah, no, you're right. It's really kind of what we're looking at is a go big, go home mentality. We have a world that we can do this in called Xyothe. We have GUI Cubes backing to state that we are working with them, and hopefully we can show them something that they've never seen before. But the other thing with GUI Cube that we don't normally get a chance to deal with is GUI Cube's stuff. I keep casting blink before the stream. I'm sorry. It's what happens. The cool thing about GUI Cube is a lot of characters have already been drawn. They've already been crafted. They've already been created, and they've already been implemented into books. But we're not letting those players play those characters on a day-to-day basis. And I think that is the interest I think that we will be able to develop and to push on that will help us kind of make that a reality.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that sounds really interesting.
But we also want to make it so that if a game master doesn't want to run, 16 games a week, he doesn't have to. If he wants,
Right.
it's his opportunity when he wants to jump in. And we're hoping to get a bunch of people that are interested in game mastering. And then they're just going to be the ones that have the opportunity to walk in at any time, depending on the level or area that they're in. And they would be able to then chime into the story that's being told. Like if two people are talking back and forth in the woods, and then let's say you hear something, please roll your perception. Everybody types in their dice roll of what they got. Say, okay, if you're this high or whatnot, you see blah. They dart into the woods deeper. Do you follow? Once they follow, then you put a note out that says, hey, if you want to continue this adventure, please come to this channel. Boom. Now you have your encounter for the evening. So
interesting.
And encounters should only last, truthfully, encounters should last less than an hour. It's just one battle, it's one small scenario. And then of course, as we would grow, that would be more of a, hey, once a month on top of that, what you're paying for is an actual full-blown adventure with the characters that you've been running with all week or all month.
Yeah.
And then monthly, you would either get level code tokens or somehow we would have to figure out the leveling system. But yeah, it's all a big question mark right now because we don't, like I said, part of me still has to talk to the other company that's doing this to make sure that we're not stepping on any sort of NDA and that kind of craziness.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to. I mean, they've done a lot of work. They've done everything through Avray and through D&D Beyond, linking together with them, and it's not something that I could see us diving into without having that opportunity to kind of get, I wouldn't say a blessing, but making sure that we're not stepping on people's toes.
Sure.
Because D&D is always all about fun, and if we're making other people uncomfortable by doing the same thing, we don't want to do that. We want something different. We want to give somebody a different experience.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
which is why I like Alchemy, because I think that the experience that I normally give to a group of players, this matches perfectly because I can bounce back and forth between items and scenes and characters. And I now have my own stuff that I can quickly jump into and out of to remember notes. And that to me is my biggest thing, is my note-taking ability is atrocious because I run 3 games a week. So having my own little universe for each of my games that has all of the NPCs already, like, that I can create myself, all the items I can create myself, all the spells, that kind of stuff. That is worth it to me alone. Even like the article introduction that I'm looking at for Lore of Aethera, the little map that's there and then some information on it and how that works, that still gives me something to grasp my eye on that I can then utilize. I'm going to try to stop my camera for a second. It's going to freak out on Zoom real quick, but I'm going to see if I can,
all right, let's
the
see it.
Unlimited blink that seems to be activated on me is slowly starting to freak out. So let's see. I'll be back, and then I'm going to restart
there he
the camera.
is.
I'm going to stop the camera.
Oh,
and then I'm going to start the camera. All right, let's see if this works now, guys.
He's back.
Hopefully that's what works. We'll see if I vanish again.
I felt like I was talking to a wall there for a second.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what happens. So let's see here.
Yeah.
So what is your guys' big goal this year for Alchemy? Specifically to blend, to make this so useful for a game master, just to me is almost impressive of how this works.
Thank you.
It's very set up similar to how so I use the Sly Flourish Lazy DM guide.
Same.
It's very built that same way.
Yep.
And I always get a lot of people yell at me for it because they're like, it's not lazy. I was like, well, you're right. It's not lazy. It's preparing. It's preparing things for the adventure. And then there's preparing things for the session. And the session shouldn't take you very long to prepare. The adventure is going to take you a long time. And people need to realize that's what he's talking about. He's not talking about preparing everything in an hour. That's not what that book is. And I've read the book quite a few times now because of that, because I have people that I have chatted with on here that will tell me that, and they'll be like, well, that's not the right way to GM. And I said, you're absolutely right, it's not. I said, but you didn't read the full book, so you don't know that there's more to it. So Alchemy can be used for both the players and the game master. So does everybody have to purchase it, or is it just the game master that's purchasing it?
I mean, at the end of the day, nobody has to purchase anything. So our accounts are free to set up. You can sign up, alchemyrpg.com. There's a plug. I'm gonna plug it here in a second. Yeah. But if you sign up for an account, you can create 3 games, you can create 3 characters, and you can play, and you don't have to pay us anything. There's voice chat is integrated. It's you can just run it. But if you do want to pay, we're rolling out subscriptions in our marketplace. And the reality is, most people probably won't have to pay. They have the free tier. We try to make it generous so that everybody can get in and enjoy playing TTRPGs like we do. So
definitely.
If you're a home brewer, if you're a really big home brewer and you want to create a bunch of different worlds and articles and create lore for your space, or if you're a streamer, we have our streaming spectating mode coming out later this year. Then
I'm looking forward to seeing how that's going to work.
Maybe it's worth it. And a subscription is $8 a month, so it's
which isn't
nothing insane.
I mean, it's nothing insane, right? That's barely anything. It's legitimately a little bit larger than a tier level 1 Twitch subscription. So I mean,
and I see Pippity Poppity, great username, just asked if it's newbie friendly. Our goal is to kind of obscure all of the different tools and all of the rules and mechanics in 5e, which is what we support today, so that you can really focus on telling a cool story. So getting your character set up, you've got to do that work, right? And then just copy and paste it all into Alchemy. But other than that, the scenes for the Lore of Aethera universe, for Darkest Stream, for Humblewood, they're all built in and they're ready to go. So you have all of your notes on hand as a GM. You can pull them up on the fly. You can take notes. You can track initiative and encounters really, really simply and in a really lightweight way, so that you're not having to, one of the things that I love about Alchemy that used to drive me crazy as a game master is initiative for large parties of NPCs.
Oh yeah.
Like managing, because you end up just giving up and doing group initiative, right? Like, I'm just going to roll group initiative for this. I don't want to roll initiative 10 times 16. And take 10 minutes to write it all down. So we automate stuff like that so that you can have an encounter that's a little bit more, I'm going to use the word realistic. It's all pretend, but it's a little more realistic so that you can have more engaging combat, stuff like that.
Yeah, no, so we have that in a virtual tabletop like Foundry. I have that opportunity, but on a normal pen and paper, I don't have that. So this would be definitely something that, and I do believe that this is supposed to almost tack onto a pen and paper game more than it would be a full VTT like Foundry or Roll20.
I mean, I guess
but
that depends on your
be
style
used
of play.
Together, truthfully.
I think that really depends on your style of play. Foundry and Roll20, good applications. You can do crazy stuff in Foundry. I mean, it really is an impressive platform.
It's like the Linux of D&D, it's
and
so
that's exactly
community
right,
built,
right? Like,
and there's so many different modules you can add to it. I'm an IT guy by trade, so that's why I was like, I'm gonna plug my little IT knowledge there real quick. So
Yeah,
yeah, but yeah,
absolutely.
it's definitely it's the Linux of D&D, and
Yeah,
it's definitely customizable and all over the place on what you can get. And I think it's really cool that they give their marketplace is pretty lenient. Like their pricing is pretty lenient, that kind of stuff, compared to
yeah,
stuff like Drive Through RPG that just charges you out the
yeah.
as
And
a
I mean,
creator
I
too much
don't
money.
even think they don't run that marketplace. If I'm not mistaken, it's a third party that runs it.
Yeah,
But it's I mean, it's a cool product, but it's a totally different product. You know,
yeah,
we as a everybody at Alchemy, we're very much theater of the mind players.
okay.
And so
So
we're
you're
really
looking at things that'll make it easier as a theater of the mind player to just play
and be immersed.
and be
You know,
immersed,
as
right?
a player especially, you can full screen Alchemy, you have a great motion graphic, and you can be really really engaged in the story that you're telling.
Yes,
And you know, we have basic map support today. We're releasing tokens on a map as soon as we can.
right.
You know, we're beginning work on that soon.
But
We'll see how long it takes, but you know,
I will pronounce this guy's name wrong 110% of the time. Anlasuk or Anlasuk. I can't remember. I don't know how to pronounce it. You're gonna have to phonetic it to me sooner or later. One of our diehards here in the channel, he said that it's a good one to connect when you're sitting around a coffee table. You place this up on the TV so everybody can see the scene and you can see everything going on, and he can and the GM can just tell the story. So I completely agree. I think that's one of the ways to use Alchemy that just makes it so much nicer, between the dynamic scenes that you have built already and the way that everything's structured and the initiative, that kind of thing. It definitely it would make my life as a GM working around a table 100% easier. And it looks like you can, based on what we've seen, is this can be used on a mobile phone, this can be used on a tablet, those types of things as well, correct?
we're working
We're
towards
working
that.
on it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it was originally built as an iPad app,
Okay.
but because we built a user base and those users were primarily using desktop, Mac, or
Yeah.
PC, we ended up finding ourselves needing to build something that was a little more lightweight and scalable on desktop and web. So we run on tablets. Sometimes it gets a little funky, but we're going to be optimizing that. And we have some really, really amazing plans for mobile, like true mobile support in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My love would be, of course, to be able to just, while I'm sitting in an airport being like, I'm gonna play game, play some
Just
D&D here,
rolling.
just start rolling some dice. Um,
Yeah. I think that that's a world that we would love to see happen too.
but no, I do understand though the dynamic of how much that would take. Uh,
Yeah. It's a lot of work to support that, because no matter what, when you're playing D&D, there's a lot of stuff.
yeah,
There's a lot to keep track of. There's a lot that you can do. And we don't want to remove that for anybody. You know, what we want to do is make sure that it's nice to look at, that it's easy to
right.
do, that you can make it all happen and you don't have to watch hours of tutorials or look at a screen that is less than immersive. So,
Right.
and I think so far we've been striking a really good balance of that.
Oh yeah.
And I can show it off whenever. We can keep talking about it.
Yeah. Do you guys want to see it? Like we have full access to it if anybody wants to see it. I need some information from the chat though. I'm not going to waste his time, I'm not going to waste my time to show off this amazing product. Nobody wants to watch it. I'm really just giving the chat crap. Here in about 2 seconds, we're going to flip over to that anyways, and we're going to show it off anyways, because
Stalling.
I do know that our stuff does go up on YouTube, where you can find all of our old videos. So that's where we hide everything or share it to the world.
Oh, cool. So you should be seeing the game master view of.
Yes.
Oh, there it is.
There it is.
We got the motion graphic. Yeah. So this is the game master view of Alchemy. So like we were talking about earlier, we organize everything scene by scene.
Right.
Let's see. Stratofield Sloth. One of the things I look for in a tool is simplifying everyone's work. Yeah. So I think the way we've really focused and honed that simplification process in for game masters really well, and I can show you the player view and how that is simplified as well. So for game masters, everything is organized by scene. My NPCs are all set by scene. My music, my motion graphics or regular graphics, all my tactical maps, those are all set by scene. And so I can just really quickly on the fly change my scene. It changes all of that stuff. So if I'm moving from one scene to another, my players really feel like they are changing environment seamlessly. And they're now in the Waterleaf bookshop instead of on the docks. And you have this opportunity as a player to really kind of sit and listen to the music and see the rain falling and look at this rad painting. I love the art in Lore of Aethera. I'm a little biased, but I do love it. And then as a GM, while all of that's happening, I have really quick access to my story notes. I have them right here. So I can get a really quick look down in the bottom right corner of what it is that I need to be focused on right now. And if my players are role playing or they're going through an encounter or something, and I have a moment, I can look ahead and say, okay, we're headed to the Bluefin Tavern next. I know that. What are the details of that? And I can very quickly see all of the information that I need to see about the Bluefin Tavern on the fly. And then I can manage all my NPCs really easily. I have this panel over here where I can show and hide all my NPCs and impersonate them, manage all of their stat blocks and their attacks. And as a GM, when I roll for initiative, all my NPCs roll. We've seen that before. That's not a new feature. But I can also quickly, so it looks like Mefiri is going first. So I can impersonate Mefiri. And then I have access to her sort of player view, as it were. So I have access to her short sword attacks. I can, roll for advantage on that. I've got access to Mefiri's spells, to skills and abilities if I need to do, a dex save. And then when it's the next NPC's turn or the next player's turn, I just go down in the initiative order and I'm automatically impersonating that next NPC. So then I have access to all of Fawn Lee's stuff. So, and I can see, on the fly, everything that I need to about that NPC. And then, like I said, initiative is rolled automatically. And if I have a question about a spell, like let's say, I think Mefiri is a spellcaster, I can cast a spell, Sacred Flame. That has a dex save, DC 10. Anybody that needs to roll that save can just click it. It'll roll the save for them. And if I forget what Sacred Flame is, any players can jump in. They can read it. They can see exactly what it is. Yeah. So it's just information on the fly. That's not in your face, taking up another window, taking up another monitor.
Right.
It's all sort of readily available for you right there. And I can also send handouts to all my players. All I have to do is upload these. And then if my players need to see a map of Lakeport Docks, they can see a map of Lakeport Docks. So from a GM perspective, our whole goal is to make sure, I won't go any further because of spoilers, but our whole goal is to make everything available for you as a game master on the fly.
Yeah, no, I like that. And that's a big thing that a lot of game masters need, is that ability to move through things very easily. And it also makes it so that when you're moving through things, your players are getting some of that experience before you having to just describe it. Since a lot of us work in the theater of the mind, giving those opportunities, like, okay, the scene shifts. So when the scene shifts, now the music's going to change, the image is going to change.
Totally.
And you can start telling the story as it immediately as it changes.
Yeah. And we're building towards, most of the things that I think most people look for in a traditional VTT. I think like this tactical mode is our sort of map mode. So right now it's really, really simple. You upload a map, you can see this map. We'll have tokens coming for this soon, but we support fully animated maps. You can throw a grid on it if you want to get into the nitty gritty.
Right.
But for now, it's just really, really simple. It's really, really lightweight.
Yeah, no, I agree. So Stratified Sloth is asking, do you have any favorite features that you want to speak about?
Okay.
What's your most, I mean, it's a pretty, I think it's funny that that's a question, because it's so connected. Everything is so connected into one thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's really that to me is my favorite feature, is that everything's all there at once. I don't have to look for anything. I don't have to go into any other extra windows. I just
for sure.
Click, click, click. It's all on the one screen.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's definitely one of my favorite parts too. Obviously, I spend a lot of time in Alchemy, and I feel like no matter what, I'll never be good at building encounters for big parties. I don't know why. It's just like I either make it way too easy or way too hard. And I always end up having to adjust on the fly. And so I think one of my like most used features is quick adding NPCs. So let's say I'm in an encounter and this is too easy and something needs to pop out of the woodwork. I can very quickly spin up another NPC, and depending on what universes are connected to my game, if I go and edit my game here and I come over to content, I've got the SRD in here. I've got, let's see, Big Bads makes really awesome NPCs, and Ultimate Bestiary. So I'll add those to my universe. So in my games, I usually just add all my supplemental universes to the game right when I start, so that when I come in, I can just search, Big Bads. And now I have quick access to all of the Big Bads that I need. So rad. Let's bring in Teddy Squeezums, 2 of them, CR1s, and they'll just add, and I can show them, and all of their stat block and everything is built in, so I can snuggle. I love it. I've never looked at the stat block for Teddy Squeezums, but I'm pretty stoked that snuggle is an attack on it.
Snuggle's an attack. That's great. So On the Shock said, do you think that people will resist or embrace focus on the screen versus focus on the battle map? I think it depends on what's going on, truthfully.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, Rico?
I honestly think that it also depends on who you are as a game master and as a player. Yeah. I think that a lot of people really love spending the time and creating a really intricate map with their tokens and building that dynamic lighting and the walls and the locked doors and the fog of war. And then I think there are other GMs who are a lot more narrative focused. And right. I think that for a long time, those narrative focused GMs haven't gotten the tools that are built for them. And I think that there's been a lot of focus on the tokens on a map folks. And right. There's some amazing products for that out there. So we didn't want to just be another one of those. We really wanted to take the time and build something that was immersive and cinematic, so that if you're telling a really narrative story, you're able to do that in a platform that lifts up your story instead of something that you have to work inside the boundaries of that maybe wasn't built for that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So one thing I haven't seen, and I know we've talked about it, is it does have built-in audio. Does it have built-in video as well, or just built-in audio at this moment?
We support, so I mean, this is a video. This is I don't know if this might be WebM, but it could also be an MP4. If you are patient enough to let it upload, you can theoretically put a video in the background. But honestly,
no, I meant like me, like your picture.
Oh,
as a player.
I see what you're saying, like video chat
audio,
for players.
video.
Yeah. Sorry, of course that's what you meant. That was a silly way to respond to that question. We will have that with our spectator mode, our sort of streaming mode. It's kind of interesting. I was talking to my wife about this. She's in graduate school, and one of the things that we really like about not having video is that you have an opportunity to immerse yourself in your character a little bit more as a player. So you're no longer looking at the faces of your friends or your gaming group.
Right.
You're looking at your fellow characters. You're listening to your fellow characters. And I think that gives people an opportunity to really kind of become their players, their characters in a way that's more meaningful. So I don't think we have plans on putting video in. I would never say never to pretty much anything, but for now we're focused on audio.
Okay. No, that's fine. That's pretty awesome. I have 2 games that I run weekly that are paid games, and I have one that everybody is okay with video, and one that nobody wants to use video. So I'm like, it's up to you. But my games are very narrative based. The only time we ever use a map is during encounters, and otherwise everything is story of the mind. But this is definitely a unique platform that has everything kind of structured all together, which I really like. And we have some game master. Rico is another paid game master that part of the community.
Oh, nice.
We also are connected with people like Phil from Last Game Boards, which is where I'm looking at using this, because once we're beta testing the Last Game Board, so that gives me my visual at the side, but then I can also be throwing this up on the screen in order to show off the imagery and the scenes. So we're really excited to partnership with them as well. So like I said, Plots and Dark and Haven, I'm going to throw the plug out left and right for the next couple of months, because we're really ramping that sucker up to be something awesome. So let's see really here. Cool. Hey, does anybody else have any questions? I know we have game masters in here. We got players in here. Do you guys have any questions for Asher or myself about D&D, about Alchemy? What's your favorite version, Asher, of D&D?
I mean, honestly, I moved around so much when I was a kid that I never had the opportunity to game. And so I came in, I've only been playing for 6 years, maybe. So I'm pretty new to the game overall. So 5e is my answer. And I know that a lot of people are probably groaning and they're like,
no,
really 5e.
There's a lot of newer game masters. There's a lot of newer players. And I can't shrug somebody off for not trying another version. I would say test other versions, because you'll find things in those versions that are really fun to add to your 5e game. And if you get a chance, once you guys start branching out to other types of games other than 5th edition, you're going to see all sorts of craziness. We play. If you've ever even looked at Call of Cthulhu, the 100-base system. Cortex has a cool system. Everything has a die base, and but it's just little tricks and trade that you add to your own games and that kind of stuff.
I'm really excited to kind of, especially as we get into, so we support 5e today, right? Later this summer we'll start building out this idea of systemless support, like system agnostic support. So you can roll your own system. You can play whatever it is that you want to. And then after that, we'll start officially supporting other systems, starting with Pathfinder. So we have Pathfinder 2e will support, but I'm really excited. I just picked up Tales from the Loop at PAX East when I was there. And it's such a novel and really beautiful art-filled book, and the system is interesting and it's simple and it's very narrative focused. I'm really excited to try that. I also grabbed the One Ring from Free League. So I don't know.
I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, so it's
I don't know what kind of magic that they put into the book. It's
that book is
it's the pages are heavy, they're thick, they're full of ink and art, and the book weighs almost nothing. It's some kind of crazy.
It's an elven book,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It is a deeply elven book.
Yeah, I really completely agree.
Yeah, but I'm really excited to get into that. And I mean, there's so many systems out there.
So many.
Blades in the Dark, Savage Worlds. I really want to try all of them out. It's just a matter of time.
I think I heard a little bit about homebrew. Are there features supporting homebrew, like classes? So yeah, that's something I've not messed with yet because I haven't had time. But do you want to show off how you would create like a homebrew class or a homebrew character? I think that would be something that people would definitely like to check out.
Yeah, let's get into it. So I'll pull up. It's funny, I don't even have my Lore of Aethera universe in here. This is the wrong account. We'll pull up Sina Una, though, is a decent example. So yeah, Stratofield Sloth. What I really like about the homebrewing part of Alchemy is that the way that we use to build out our content modules like Islands of Sina Una is the same set of tools that you get to build out your own universe. So when you go to create a universe, we support full markdown, so you can do really great stuff. Like you can put your headings in here and inline images and linking, and you can write out all these lore articles. You can create these NPC stat blocks with their own images and their own descriptions and abilities. Same with items. You can roll up any item that you want. You can throw an image up there. And what's amazing is that it works.
It works.
I use it all the time. Amazing feels like a cheesy sales pitch. What's really cool, I think, is that you have the opportunity to then pull all of this stuff into a game immediately, like I was talking about before. So when I go to my content universes, I can just pick my homebrewed universes and build and add in Viper's Eyes. And it really is pretty much everything is there. So I'll just create a universe and it's,
right. And
add a background visual, add
monsters,
a logo.
You can create items, you can create.
And I can pick what parts of the universe I want to show. So if I'm just rolling items, for instance, I can just remove all of the other tabs. But if I want to roll everything, I can. And now I've got the Tabletop Misfits universe. I create an article, and it's got everything that I need to make a really rad universe. Boom. And so I can create anything that I want. The world is your oyster in essence. Create a character, roll up the character stat block, and pull that into your games immediately.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we try to make it really, really easy for you to do whatever you want as it relates to TTRPGs.
Right. No, that's what we've noticed. It's definitely you've hit that right on target. That's one of the things that I was just really excited to see happen, where I can build the universe myself. I can customize everything I need to, have it all ready to go. It also kind of gives me that bump to think about certain things, like, hey, make sure you have an image maybe that would help you for things. Like, because all my stuff currently is being done in OneNote, and you know how chaotic OneNote can get. So
yeah, for sure.
And and not to mention things don't link well. Now I do know there's other types of stuff out there. I think there's something like called Obsidian, I think is what a couple of my Game Master friends use. But
yeah,
I kind of got used to OneNote, but it's because it's so basic, right? And I'm trying to move away from that so that I have something now that I can utilize and I can continue to utilize and continue to build on. And I'm not going to be worrying about, hey, is this going to not link properly, or can I link this with this
Right.
character or this scene and whatnot. And I
Yeah.
just, yeah, I'm excited. I'm gonna start digging in more and more and see what I can do with it.
Yeah.
And for
Get in
anybody
there.
who's watching, keep an eye out, because I think there's going to be some show offs on social media about this thing, because I know myself, some of the other game masters that I work with have all said this is really a fun uh, system compared to, like using OneNote. Like OneNote's boring. I want something that's more visual. I want something that looks nice.
Yeah.
And I also want something that looks nice for my players, which is what the main focus is, right?
Yeah.
So amazing is a good word for this system. I would also say incredible. No, I do agree. They've put a ton of time and effort into this thing. And we're seeing that fruit coming together real quick. I did notice you've got some of the fifth edition stuff already in there on your book.
Yeah. So
Is that stuff you've created, or is that stuff that you've gotten from?
no,
Have you started working with them guys yet?
any of the non-SRD stuff that you see
Yeah.
that is WotC content, I've been
Yeah.
scrolling past very quickly because I own those books and I'm playing games with them.
Hey, no worries.
But
I own all those books through D&D Beyond, and I have half of them as well.
yeah,
I'm hoping this is the game master in me and the person stating, hey, I'm hoping now that WotC bought D&D Beyond, I won't have to buy the book twice completely every single time I buy it.
I totally thought that's what they were going to announce at D&D Direct. I was a little disappointed that that they didn't.
Even if they just put something like, hey, here's a token in the back of the book that states this is what you can use in order to get your copy for 50% off. I don't care, as long as it's not 100%. I'm not paying $60 for this and $60 for this. Like,
for sure. Yeah, totally.
Nuts.
We do have the SRD in though, so we've got
the fifth edition is the SRD that you guys have.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So if you want to pull in the SRD stuff into a game, you can. Yeah. We do have that because that's available for everybody. That's right. OGL stuff. So we can pull all of that in, all the spells, and this is probably going to take forever to load.
But anything with characters that like special classes, all that has to be homebrew put in.
Yeah, exactly. Or, third-party supplements. We've got the Darkest Dream from Gooey Cube, Humblewood, all that stuff. And we have a lot more really, really exciting stuff coming too. We're working really hard to work with some really, really amazing content creators to bring some amazing third-party supplements to the platform.
Yeah, I know. I tossed a plug in to a couple of our connections with Nord and with Lore Smith and a couple of the other guys that I've speak with. Actually, there's a new Kickstarter just launched. Give my little plug out for that for our buddies over at Keffa Studios. They just launched Banners of Honor. Looks freaking amazing.
Nice.
I followed that one immediately. I was like, ooh, click. I won't get it until next year, but I'll have it. So that's the only downfall of Kickstarters. I'm like, I'm buying this for a year from now.
Oh, it's so dangerous.
It is.
It's so easy to spend so much money.
I've wasted so much money, and I'm still waiting on Kickstarters because of the bad what is it, the shortage for travel.
Yeah.
So I bought, this was right before the pandemic hit, and I was really getting into minis, and there was a Kickstarter out there. It was like $65 or $70 for early purchase for over 200 miniatures. And I couldn't pass this up. So I bought it, and we're now almost 2.5 years, and I'm waiting on it still. And I'm like, come on. But I get updates like every couple of weeks, and it's like, hey, still waiting on QTCs, shipping across seas. And I'm like, come on, I just want my book. I just want my box that has freaking 200 and some miniatures in it. So
I know.
I've been learning how to paint.
Well, what do you should know how to paint now? You've had 2.5 years, right? Come on.
Yeah, I did not, because I moved straight to, as soon as the pandemic hit, I moved straight to virtual, and I haven't actually played an in-game in quite a while. I mean, I did a couple con games, but those we already had tokens built for and all that, so I didn't have to bring my own stuff.
Yeah,
For
for sure.
anybody who's interested and wants to play with a person like me, I will be at Gen Con this year in Indianapolis, and I will be running my adventure through GUI Cube 4 or 5 times that weekend. So
Sweet.
I'm
If we
excited.
weren't going to be at Gen Con at a booth, also, I would be 100% in. That sounds like fun.
Yeah, we're gonna be. We have an entire room for GUI Cube material, or well, for GUI Cube games rather, not for material, but for games. And then of course we have the booth in the vendor hall. But yeah, I'll be running morning pretty much every morning Thursday, morning Friday, afternoon Friday. I'm off Saturday, and then morning Sunday.
Wow, you're gonna be busy.
Personally, that'll be me running. I ran 9 games last year, so going from 9 to 4, I'm down. I'm good.
Yeah.
We had a lot less people. We had a lot less. We had some very bad cases of the pandemic that knocked multiple people out of the picture right before the con. So this year we're full on deck. There's like at least 80 events planned for GUI Cube for the weekend.
Wow.
So if you can't get me personally, you can get one of the other amazing GMs that we've got. We've got like 35 GMs that are going to be there working it. So
wow, that's
a good time.
Amazing.
Yeah. So we're excited. I mean, I loved Gen Con last year. I thought it was a blast. It's where I met most of our connections for Tavern Talks last year. And this is my big con. Like this is the ride or die con. You go in there, and I take half of my time there to play and work with the GUI Cube folks, and then the other half is networking and connecting with other creators and with other content writers, and seeing how we can work together to maybe promote their stuff or whatever whatever the next project is. But I think this year by Gen Con, things are going to be different for the Misfits, and we're going to see some huge growth. So I'm excited.
That's awesome. Are you going to be at Origins too? Next month?
I will not. GUI Cube will be at Origins.
Cool.
Now, if some random reason I'm there, awesome. But right now, my 2 cons currently are Genghis in February and then Gen Con in August.
Nice. Because so you get a little break.
Unlike most people that are in this amazing community, this is not my daytime job, and I don't have 60,000 hours to put towards it, and I still put a ton of time and energy into it. So
yeah,
I'm hoping for 4 cons next year is my goal. That's the max I'll ever do. I've got 4 kids, so I can't be gone all the time.
Yeah.
But I would love to hit Origins. I really want to hit Gary Con.
Gary Con was cool. That's a really interesting con. It's it's great. I mean, so much of it is events. You know, it was funny juxtaposed because was that March?
Yeah.
The Gary Con was. So I went to Gary Con in March. Really amazing. That's how I met the GUI Cube folks. Nice. And then, but you know, I would say 7/8 of that event is events. It's playing games. It is very dedicated.
And surprisingly enough, so kind of some thanks guys. Thanks for your time. Can you link out? Yeah, I can link out me again. And drop another one out there for you guys to, if I can't, one of our team will drop it real fast. Apparently I've got like 6 other things that I'm looking at, and it keeps removing my link. There we go. Yeah, no, definitely check those guys out. They're amazing. Go get your free account. I mean, you can't complain. It's free.
Yeah, check it out.
But no, when I went to Genghis Con this year, it's GUI Cube's like home convention. Mm-hmm. So they invited me to come out for the 4 days, and I stayed extra days working with them on some other projects. But yeah, it was the same thing. I used to go to conventions all up through high school and through college where I was, you know, anime and comic books and that stuff, and it's all just vendors. Like there's nothing really going on, or you're dressing up like cosplay, that kind of thing. That's really all it is. Once I dove into the world of tabletop role play at a convention level, I realized that is actually much more hands-on than I was ever expecting.
Yeah.
My first TTRPG con was Gen Con last year, and I was like, this thing is massive and I'm scared to death. And I still ran games for GUI Cube, and that was my first big convention to run games in, which was pretty awesome.
Oh, that's great.
So
yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, we're really, really excited for Gen Con this year. So we'll be there. We'll be at Origins if you're going to be in Ohio. We'll be at PAX Unplugged.
That's in what? Philly,
yeah. And
I'm actually really close to, like, it's like a 6-hour drive for me from Philly, so it's not too far away.
Come hang out, man. Get into an event or something. Be in there for fun.
Yeah, normally I try to, right now personally, I'm trying to do it like, hey, if you want me there, then you'll get me there. That's kind of my ploy at the moment. Yeah, and it's just because I don't have the extra expendable income right now to do it myself.
For sure.
But it's also a kind of a, not going to say it in a rude way, but it's kind of a pride thing as well, because I want to go as somebody to put on a good time rather than for me just to have a great time there. So
sure.
So like I said, if GUI Cube's going to be there and they're interested in bringing me on board, then sure, I'll be there most likely, as long as I can afford it. Because I don't get everything when I go with these guys. I get a good chunk, and they reimburse me very well, but it still costs some out of my own pocket, and that can be rough at times.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to Gen Con. Like I said, I'll be there all weekend. And then hopefully you guys can come out for Genghis next year. Genghis is, like I said, it's the GUI Cube's like local con. It's right there in Colorado Springs. It's a beautiful convention. And it's nothing but gaming. I've never seen so much gaming in my life. There's like maybe 40 booths, but there's like 19 halls of gaming going on at a time, and I was like, this thing is ridiculous.
That's cool.
But it was so much fun.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's in February?
Yeah, it's in February.
Awesome.
I'll have to get the exacts. Donnie and Andrea are two amazing people. They run the con themselves, and we got to meet with them and sit down with them and talk with them, and they're just amazing individuals. And I think Donnie or Andrea or both of them, we don't know yet, will most likely be guesting on Plots in Dark and Haven as well. So you'll see those guys around more. Yeah. Does anybody else have any questions while we're on here? I know I'm just rambling because that's what I do. That's what this job. That's literally what this show is about. It's to bring people on and talk about D&D. So
yeah.
If you're here for anything else, then I'm sorry. That's not what you're getting. You're getting a bunch of people. The feel I tell people when they come talk on Tavern Talks is, I want you to be able to sit down across the table, have a drink, and talk D&D. Like, that's what we do. And if you want to bring a drink on the show, you're welcome to do so. I've been slimming down my alcohol for this year, and that's kind of part of my deal, but that's my choice. So yeah. Let's see here. Did we miss any? Did I miss any chat? Apparently my chat got closed for a second there.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I think so. I think okay. Do you have anything else you want to show off that we might have missed?
I mean, the app is pretty full featured, but we saw the greatest hits of that bad boy. I guess
I like that.
The other thing that I'll plug, the last thing that I'll plug is, so we kicked off at PAX East last month, a couple weeks ago. It was totally crazy. It was incredible. You can come see us at Origins again in Ohio. We'll be at Gen Con. We'll be at PAX Unplugged. We'll be at Gamehole Con here in my hometown, Madison, Wisconsin. Nice. And to kick off our early access and to get people into the platform, we partnered with all of our major content partners that we wanted to launch the platform with to release the Alchemy Founder Box. So,
so I just posted that up there for them. So
amazing. Yeah.
I checked this out, and guys, I'm going to tell you, this Founder Box, I'm going to work with them and get a little bit more of a scoop on this thing. So it's what? Let me see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's 9 adventures or items or generators.
Yeah, it's
over $250 in ready to play Alchemy content.
Yeah,
which is pretty awesome. Not to mention you get this cool looking, box.
Yeah, and a pin. So, you get the clasp of the founder. You get a little limited edition pin too. So they're all hand numbered. We've got 1,000 of them. We don't have 1,000 of them anymore, but we started with 1,000 of them.
Right.
And they're $100. You get a year subscription to Alchemy, and then you get 50% off the subscriptions for life. So, if we sell our sub for $8, you get it for $4. If we create a higher tier that's $12, you get it for $6. And that's just a token of our gratitude for supporting us, in our first couple months of being out in the world. So we have the Founder Box. Come see us. Check out our Discord. You can get that from alchemyrpg.com. There's a big button to join the Discord in there. Come hang out. If you have any questions, let us know. We're around.
I think that's awesome. Guys, thank you all for coming. Thank you, Asher, for being here with Alchemy. This was a great, just insightful experience to be able to learn all this that is about this tool. I'm also going to make all of my cast members and my other GMs watch this show now, because we've been trying to set up a demo to walk through this program. And I was like, hey, look, we already did it. Here, watch.
Boom.
This.
There you go. You didn't see much of the player view, but just hit me up. I'll hook you up. I'll give you all a tour.
Definitely. Thank you for coming. This was awesome. For anybody who's still sticking around, make sure that you go check out Alchemy. It's free to sign up. It's free to just get in there and start playing around with yourselves. And look at some of the amazing content that they've got access to. They've got Humblewood. They've got, let's see, Humblewood. I think I saw Hip Point Press.
Nord Games in there.
Nord Games. GUI Q, of course. Griffin Saddlebag. The animated maps by Season Peku. And that's a boatload of stuff. That's all I'm saying. It's a boatload of stuff. And so at this moment, the tavern will be closed. This is last call for the evening. Thank you once again for coming. If you want to come hang out with us again, make sure you hop over to our Discord so you can find out all the new things that we're doing each and every week, especially Plus and Darkenhaven that is coming out very soon. And also Heroes of Xayathay, which is the first time I've said it on channel, is our 24/7 D&D campaign that we're going to be trying to develop and run. So if you're interested in doing that, come talk to us over there. Of course, in the next couple of days, you'll see this out on YouTube, and make sure that if you are here and this is the first time you've been here, make sure you hit that follow or subscribe button, depending on where you're seeing this at. And we will see you guys all next week for episode 43 of Tavern Talks. Until then, may you all have a wonderful, wonderful week. Bye.
Bye, everybody.